Welcome to this video in which I'll show you a technique that Andy asked me to cover. It's called Bata Horse High and it's from the Tai Chi style that I practice. So the first thing I'd like to pay attention to is the mechanics. So you'll see that from here I have my spine straight. It's in a neutral position, but it is in an inclined position. So I'm not vertical, I've leaned forward. Then the second point is that the right hand is palm down and the left hand is palm up. There's many applications, but I'll focus on the takedown because that's the question Andy asked on how to make that work. So we'll take a look against the typical attack. So the guy attacks with a big haymaker type movement. I'm stepping forward, I am checking his inside arm here so he doesn't get a punch with it, and I'm absorbing, not really blocking, but more absorbing and diverting his strike with my inside arm. So the next thing I do is then I move in, and the key point is this here: put your palm underneath his chin. That is important. This is what allows you the technique to work. What you need to do is put your palm underneath his chin and then push forward, up and back and down in an arcing motion. And this is going to bring the top of his head here, going to bring that down and lift his chin upwards. And that breaks the structure in his cervical spine, and that breaks the structure in the rest of his spine. And that's what allows you to do the technique correctly. So you're going to do that as I transfer my weight forward, and he's in an off-balance position. From the other side, same thing. So I block, I defend, I move in, and now you see the back side. So I've got my right hand on the palm of my right hand underneath his chin, but you'll notice that my left hand here is high on the back of his neck. What you do here to complement what the right hand does is, as I'm pushing his head backwards, my left hand here is going to slide all the way down his spine to his lower back, and as it does that, I'm going to put pressure into his spine towards me. So my left hand here is pushing his spine towards me as I slide down, and my right hand is going to push his head back in the opposite direction. So we've got two forces actually working together. So that is a key point. And notice here at the end, so I've got my left arm here that is slid all the way down. My left hand, you don't see it well, but it's on his lower back. That allows me to control where he goes. If I want him to fall, I can pull away my hand. If I don't want him to fall, I can keep my hand here. I've captured his arm as well, so it gives me many options. And I'm pushing here against his chin. Here's a variation that I like to use. You just put your fingers in his eyes. This is a backup technique if you don't want to injure him enough and you end up like I just am here and he starts struggling. You can put your fingers in his eyes to make him think more about defending as opposed to attacking. You could have done it right away. As I stepped into the technique, I could have immediately, as I make contact with the palm heel, put the fingers in his eyes, collapse my hand on top of his face and smother him. You can try to claw his face. I mean, there's many options here, but you don't have to use them, but you can. So this is just a variation that I like. The main thing, if you use the fingers, and you see a little bit in the video here, is that he's going backwards. So this was a little bit quicker. You notice that I've pulled my fingers away from his eyes, but what people often do is when you put a finger towards their eyes, even if you don't make contact, they flinch away from you. And in this position here, what happens is that he's going to flinch away into the direction that I want him to go anyway. So that actually then his movement helps me. So that's why going for the eyes like that can be actually quite helpful. So those are the basics. Now the final point is that when you look at his right leg here and then his left leg over here, if you draw a straight line between those two, and then a perpendicular line on that straight line, what will happen is that gives you the direction you want to push him into. We call that the void or emptiness. That is where he doesn't have a support foot. If you look at his position here, he's got a support leg over here, he's got a support leg over here, and his head is right in the middle between both. So that means he doesn't really get any structural support. That is the direction you want to push your attacker into. So that's a key point. Here's a variation. If you don't get to reach all the way behind the guy's neck, what you can do is grab his arm here. I like to grab just above the elbow, closer to the triceps and biceps, not in the middle of the upper arm, but just above the elbow. That's a place that I get a good handle on, so I like to do it that way. Notice how my palm here is facing down. At the end of the movement, it will be facing upwards. My right hand does the same thing underneath the chin and then push. So from here, notice how the torque here that I'm doing is pulling him off balance as well. So I'm grabbing it, I'm torquing, and notice here at the end of the movement how my palm here is in an upward position. So that means that you don't just pull his arm straight down, but there's rotation created in his arm because I'm rotating my arm as well as opposed to going straight down. Again, here again you see the off balance position. So he's got one leg here, and his head is actually right in the middle, going along that line, that center line, and it's easier to break his balance that way. So that is in essence how you can do it. Let me show you this from a different angle. Here you'll notice that just the rotating the arm can off balance him like it does here. So it's a powerful move if you do it right. It's off balance, and from this position here, I can keep going forward. My right leg can step behind his lead leg here, and bring him all the way to the ground. I can attack the groin, kicking and kneeing. I can do a bunch of things. I can step through him through the inside. I can do a bunch of things. I can step behind him with my right leg and let him and catch him on my right knee, then slide him off, slam him into that knee strike upwards. There's so much that you can do there from this position. The key thing is making sure that you align everything, and when you rotate his arm, as I'm doing here, do it at the same time as you push. So that said, let's take a look at a couple of most common mistakes. So the first thing I want you to pay attention is, this is the biggest issue. This is the most common mistake, and it's really dangerous if you do it that way. So try to avoid this one. So take a look at what my student does here. He's going to move in, and notice